85, 1997. The record for the most cars in an F1 race was achieved at the 1953 German Grand Prix with 34 cars. The race with the fewest entries saw only 6 cars line up on the grid. This was the infamous 2005 US Grand Prix, which saw 14 cars pulled out of the race due to tyre safety concerns. Hello to everyone here and welcome, and a special shout out to our VIP guests, Lars Hammer and Arthur Jackman, affectionately known as the Jackhammer. If you don't know, the tubular safety device that sits over the driver's head, aptly named the Halo, is constructed out of titanium and adds roughly 9 kilograms to the car's total weight. One of the longest broadcasted races was also one of the shortest.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to SFR for round number 21 of the Brazilian Grand Prix here. We're almost towards the end of the season, so not a lot of races left in the season, but we're coming towards the end of it, and I think Laser Lord is on course to winning his first championship this season, so I can't wait to see how it all goes down. But in the championship lead, I think Laser Lord is ahead quite a margin. Let's have a look at the championship standings while I've got them, shall we? Because there's no point in me guessing while I've got them out here. As you can see then, we've got some cars out on the circuit ready to explore this track, which is a very nice one. I'm sorry about the intro there, I wasn't prepared, I don't even know what I'm saying, but we'll go on board with these first before I can get my words out. There he is then, into the centre rest at turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3. And this is one of the classic tracks here in Formula 1, first introduced back in 1973, 4.3 kilometers long. We've had a lot of exciting, amazing races here throughout its history as well, and it's always provided some amazing entertainment over the years. Weather could play a massive factor too. We've seen some heavy downfall from rain over the past few years around this circuit, which definitely impacted the races, but we've seen some championships won here as well, usually known as the last race of the season, but I think Abu Dhabi has swapped around. I think we can all agree that we wish Abu Dhabi was the last, Brazil was the last race of the season, not Abu Dhabi, because no offense to Abu Dhabi, but Brazil is just an iconic place, and yeah, we've had a lot of championships going down to the wire here in Brazil as well, and in Abu Dhabi of course, but yeah, I think this is one of the special tracks out of all of them. It's just a historical, famous circuit, and passionate to all the fans around the world too. We all love and we all adore this track too. As GT comes around towards the line to set his first lap time, is going to be a 9.3 then. Let's see what lap times everybody has to set around here, as the benchmark is currently a P1, as JDM goes quicker by 3/10 with a 9.0 in the AlphaTauri, and he has been struggling, as JDM, I think, in the middle sector somewhere around that lap, so let's hope he minimises mistakes today and tries to get as far up as possible. Here comes Xenon towards the line then, as he crosses the line in the Red Bull with a P2 and 9.0, and he's 400 quicker than JDM in the AlphaTauri, so decent lap time there from him. And here is Glock then in P13. The last time out we were in Mexican GP, and it was a great race there too. It was such a thrilling race, and I think it was only last week and I forgot who won. It was MDJ. Yeah, MDJ won the Grand Prix. I completely forgot about that. That was a great race. And here is Glock on his first flying lap, as Bear Remy goes quicker with a 7.9 in the Mercedes, then pairing up with MDJ, as MDJ currently in the championship fight with Harry Kane. His focus shifted towards him more than Laser Lord, as he's too far ahead in the championship. Heading into turn 4 then, at the Cida del Lago, really critical corners to get right as well, especially the exit. They're very easy to lose the back of the car. Now with this double right hander, we saw Fernando Alonso back in 2009 get wiped out in that corner, and that's Hulkenberg spun back in 2012 there too, as MDJ goes into P2 then. So Bear Remy has actually put a decent margin over the rest, the first man in the 7s, and he's currently 7/10 quicker than MDJ, his own teammate then. So a lot have a catching up to do in this race, and Louise and Charlie Smith, hello to both of you. Hopefully you're both doing alright. Rogue Smithy is not here again. So where are you, Rogue Smithy? How come you're not racing tonight? He wasn't here in Mexico because he was commentating with me, and he's not here in Brazil then, so doesn't seem to like the South American circuits. Nah, I'm only kidding, but Glock goes quickest, well, quicker by about 300. Exactly 300 is the gap between the top two. So very fine margins indeed from the top two there, as Glock puts his Red Bull in P1. We all know about Glock in Brazil. I'm not talking about this Glock, I'm more talking about Timo Glock. And I'm pretty sure I don't have to repeat it, as you all know the history behind that one. So there are your early lap times here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. We're just waiting for others to arrive on the circuits. Harry Kane is currently on a lap time going into turn 1 and turn 2, then unfortunately retired at the Mexican Grand Prix because, in fact, I don't think he's on a lap time, is he? So this is a very interesting technique that Harry Kane likes to do. I don't do it myself because I don't see any benefits, but I think Cassidy's had a moment somewhere. I think he's spun coming out of Ferradura. He was on a lap time, but unfortunately the Aston Martin driver has spun the back of the car and has to bail out that lap time. I think carrying too much speed or hit the curb on the apex into the double right-hander, and that's definitely cost him that time then. As we ride on board with Harry Kane, who's currently not on a lap time. So we'll go on board with gamer 1891 as he enters the middle sector, or the end of it, with a 51.7. The last sector shouldn't be too difficult because there's only one corner and the rest of them are flat out. Indeed, if you can class them as corners. But the DRS enables for the Alfa Romeo driver, and let's see what lap time he can set in the Alpha. He crossed the line now to go P3. Decent lap time there for Gamer, and he puts himself inside that top 3 then. So let's see if anybody else can challenge him, as Samet is currently on a flying lap 2. Harry Kane goes P9, but not a representative lap time because he wasn't using the EOS, the battery deployment system. And I think Samet had a moment coming out of turn before. He got a bit too wide. Well, I say wide, I think he got a bit wobbly coming out of that corner, didn't he? The back end of the car just not living with it, and Samet there slightly missing, well, going out wide out of the second part of Ferradura, and now coming into slow speed corners. Very critical to get right as well. I was about to use Samet's setup for my Brazil race on Sunday, but I think the wings were too low and I was flying all over the place on the mediums and the hards. I tried a one stop, mediums to hards or hards to mediums, and it didn't go well because I was standing around. I think the strategy is hards to mediums or hards, mediums to hards, or soft if you want to go that route, because somebody actually did soft to mediums and it worked. They had the pace to go with it, they weren't struggling when the softs were dead, and here comes Samet towards the line. It's going to be a 8.3 as he brings the margin down between the top two, and he puts that Alpine into P3. Samet's had a few decent results too. I think he's got at least 2 podiums to his name, but I received a message from one of my good mates hoping that nope, he's not joining me. He's talking about commentary, but he's not talking about joining me in the commentary box. So I'm actually trying to find the championship standings, as I've got loads of tabs opened on my phone, looking at other calendars and other leagues, the information I have to have. But Harry Kane then going for his proper lap time, and he's only P10. So wow, what's going on in this qualifying session? Because if you notice, there's about 4 or 5 laps people are doing around this circuit, and they're not actually going for a proper flying run. On the soft compound tyres, you ideally want to do quite a lot of runs, as Harry Kane goes 3 tenths up in the first sector. What I meant to say is, on the soft compound tyres, you want to be doing about 1 lap only, as it has the best tyre life. But I don't think tyre life is a big issue around here in Brazil. I remember it's not as degrading as the other circuits are, like in Mexico as it was, as JDM's done 5 laps on a set of soft compound tyres. So it brings back some memories from the older games where people used to go on a set of soft compound tyres and take them for a few runs. And Harry Kane, this is his 3rd lap time on a set of softs then, so I don't think we're actually seeing some representative lap times. I think some people just sandbagging just a bit as Harry Kane goes 7 tenths quicker in that middle sector. But he'll find a lot more time because he didn't use the battery on this straight, therefore he'll have more power down the straight than he did on the last lap. And let's see where the Norwegian puts his car as he goes into P3 with an 8.1 there. So that's very interesting then. 3 lap old softs, P3, there's definitely more time in that McLaren car. Sonic Hawk, I remember back in Brazil, what am I even talking about? So he's actually lost his wing, has Sonic Hawk. I meant to say USA, put his car into P3, but unfortunately fell down the order. And there he is without a wing then, so I wonder where has he lost it on the track. As we see Laser Lord in this middle sector into the slow speed corner of the right hander, now through the loop of the left hander, just holding the throttle there until he can pin it flat to the floor, gaining traction. Now coming into this right hander where Lewis Hamilton and Alex Albon make contact. A decent exit there, you can carry a lot of, you can sustain a lot of wheel spin if you're not careful as well. well on traction. In his middle sector, 51.1 as he comes towards John South. Some people on the entry towards John South do like to ride the curb, but I don't, because I think the back of the car just unsettles. Sometimes I do, depending if I'm confident enough to do it or not. But here he is in the McLaren there. What lap time can he set? The championship leader goes to P2. And 3 drivers have set a 7.9. That's incredible as well. And great lap times from Glock as well, by the way. And Bear Remy in P3. Apologies if I said your name right, Bear Remy. Probably pronounced differently. But here he is, Glock, coming towards the end of the middle sector as we head through the right-hander into third. Just biding your time at the throttle until you can get on it. That's a really lovely exit there from Glock as he makes his way into... Is that Glock? Is that Glock back in 2008? I had to do it. Sorry, Glock. I had to do it. But I never had the opportunity to do it until now. Here he is then in the middle sector. 1/10 improvement from him. And let's see what lap time he can set in the Red Bull as he comes towards the line now. It's going to be a 7.8 as he raises the bar once again and puts his car into P1 with a solid lap time. MDJ 2 seconds down. Looks like he's a validated 2 for good measure, so he won't be improving on the lap time. Lazy's just done a lap anti, so he won't be... on a lap time. Yeast in the Haas is coming towards turn 8, I believe that is, now through turn 9. Be very careful through those corners. It's so easy to lose the back of the car. You're just going to be very patient and build your way up through the throttle. Make sure you don't lose the back end too, especially in the race when you're on heavy fuel, green track and dirty air. 2/10 improvement there from Yeast in the Haas. Remember, he crashed out on the first lap at the Mexican GP with Hazara. And Hazara, once again, is not participating in qualifying. So, for the 3rd time this season, he's taking a big risk. And hopefully he don't crash. Goes into P7, does the Haas man. And decent lap time there. Hopefully Hazara doesn't crash on the first lap with somebody. Martin, here he is then, in the Aston Martin. We're going to call him the Hulk now. Here is Hulkenberg as he makes his way downhill into Ferrador. That's not Ferrador, that's the last corner. I can't actually remember what the corner's called. But here we are into the famous John Sao. 2/10 up is Hulkenberg as he has a purple middle sector, but I don't think that's the actual representation on his lap time, setting the purple sectors there. But here we are coming towards the line. What's it going to be from the Hulkenberg? Goes into P7 with an 8.5, just ahead of Yeast there, only about a few hundreds. His Aston Martin teammate Casti is out there. 1/10 down in the middle sector is the Aston Martin coming out of the Retroposta, headed into Ferradura. You want to carry a lot of speed through here as well. We saw the back of the car wanted to step out and unfortunately has invalidated that lap time too. So yeah, 28.7 with 5 minutes left to go. Casti has got a bit of time to do some more laps and hopefully he can get a lap time for himself. But majority of drivers in this qualifying session in the pit lane, it's going to be calm before the storm. Who is going to take pole position? I think, I don't know, top 6 could be any of them. Maybe Martin, P7 he can find more pace, but could be anybody in this top 6. I don't know.
It's almost a given that the drivers on the grid today were kart racing as children, so they could enter the sport with as much experience as possible. It hasn't always been like that though. In the 1950s, the average age of the drivers was 39, with 3 over the age of 50.
As we see the rest of the drivers are back in the pit lane then, we're just awaiting. I think some drivers are trying to save a set of tyres as well, hence why there's quite a few long ones out there. Usually we see a dash of cars out there doing lap times, but Sonic Hawk in the Ferraris actually, he's just got into P12. 6/10 improvement there from the Ferrari driver. Had that amazing qualified in P3 last time out. JDM is just outside the top 10 in P11. Can he try and get himself inside the top 10? Xenon's done a great job as well, P10. I know Xenon has been struggling in the midfield there, but hopefully he found himself a good result. The Norwegian driver, there's about 4 Norwegians here. I think Bear Remy, I could dare say, is one of them. Harry Kane's definitely one of them. Hazard in P50 is retired, so that's a definite start to the back. Maybe he's got a qualified ban, who knows, big this time. Hazard, why don't you join me in the commentary box, mate? do tend to have a habit of talking to drivers midway through the races and qualifying, even though I don't do it in other leagues. It's only this league for some reason, I don't know why, but we're starting to see the main contenders and the main protagonists of this qualifier session in this on their last lap. I was about to say party then, don't know why I said that, because I read my own message to Hazara and I was about to say party. So I think Remy then is coming towards the final corners. I'm about to see him take the line to start his potentially last line laps then. So he's done it about 2 minutes and 45 seconds. The benefit of doing that is if you mess up on your first run on your last set, you can always go for that second one as well. But the problem is, it depends where you validate. If you do it in the middle sector, it's quite hard to regenerate some of that lost battery because ERS is a problem around here. I think it is, judging by memory. I was quite low in the race despite being in a DRS train. And he's 5,000 up in the first sector as we take towards Retro Posta to see the Largo. And now we're coming towards Ferradura very shortly. Then fast speed corners there, flicking into the 50 metre board, down into 6th, and on the throttle once again. Not full throttle though, just in case he lands up the rear tyres. You want to hit that apex there or ride over it. And just be very patient in this middle sector, just under the throttle until you can get on it fully. And now open up this right hander here to get a really good exit, but the rear end of the car is stepping out and complaining, and once again a massive slap of oversteer on the exit might cost him a bit of time as he constantly pushes the limits on that car. 2,000s down in his middle sector. Can he make it any time up coming out of Junsao? It's not going to be enough to take pole position unfortunately for Remy, but can he try and take P2 away from Laser because the margins are very small between those two, so any sort of that time could get him P2, and it is P2 at a 7.9, and I think that's his qualifying session done and dusted, unless he could try and save some battery. But let's see who else out there. Laser has validated somewhere in the first sector. Harry Kane is on another push lap. Glock has validated in turn 1, turn 2 or turn 3, who knows, the ZRSs. But I don't think that's it for Glock. Oh, he's on the verge. There's a Mercedes right behind us. Is that Remy? Yes it is. He might get another lap time. He's got to cool the tyres down, regenerate that battery, and pull the trigger once again. And we're about to see then Samit, here he is in the Alpine. Can he try sneak pole position away? As I think him and Ramovaj were quite close in the race in Mexico. I think Samit took the lead, whereas Ramovaj took pole in Mexico. But the inside line is the preferred favourite to go down the inside into turn 1. 35 seconds left to go in this qualifying session. Simon coming out the corner, a bit of wheel spin on the exit 2 for good measure as we flick down left-hander. And it's 2/10 up. This is critical now. Can he get a bit of a slipstream from the car ahead of him, which is a Mercedes driver? That might be MDJ because we saw Remy early on in this lap. No, I think it's actually Remy. Here we are towards the line. What's it going to be for Samit? It's P4. Let's see if he can stick with that lap time. Harry Kane improved by 500s in the first sector, but what can he do in his middle sector? 1.5 tenths up in the middle sector. I don't think it's enough to snatch pole unless something magical can happen in this final sector, which is only about 3 corners, one of them being the braking zone and the rest flat out. And here we are, Harry Kane towards the line. What's he going to be? Oh, he's invalidated! Oh my goodness me. He was going to be in P3, I think, or 4. He said 7.9, but he invalidated, and that's a shame there. What about Glock? 6,000s down in the first sector as he goes for a second lap time on the same set of soft compound tyres. Laser takes pole away. It's a 7.8 from our championship leader, but what can Glock do? He's 2/10 down. He won't improve, unfortunately, and that's his qualifying session done and dusted. MDJ in the Mercedes coming towards the line now. What can he do? It's going to be a 7.8, and he goes ahead of his teammate then in P3. And here comes Remy. Remy's on a flying lap. What can he do with the Mercedes? He's about to take pole away. Let's have a look. No, he's not. He lost time in the final sector and unfortunately stays in P4. But what a great qualifying, and Hazara, mate. Welcome to the party. How are you feeling for the race?
Thank you. Feel good. Hopefully, can climb some positions in the sprint.
Sprint? It's a sprint race? Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Oops. So this is a good thing about the sprint though, because Hazara, you can make your way up through the sprint, climb as many positions as you can, and put yourself in a decent spot for the race. Because You got that extra shot, but it's like qualifying really, but a sprint race where you can just have an extra session to build your way up through the field, then it actually matches with the actual race, so that makes sense. I didn't explain it well there, I don't know why, but you know what I'm saying, don't you?
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense what you just said. I hope to channel my inner Lewis Hamilton from 2021 in this Brazilian Grand Prix when he climbed from what was it, P20 to P1 in the space of the sprint and race. So yeah, I hope to do well. Although I haven't practiced at all, I don't have a single lap on this track. So, but I can tell you right now that the sprint will be wet. So looking forward.
Oh, Hazara, so the sprint's going to be wet. Aren't you a bit concerned about making your way through the field because in difficult conditions it's quite difficult to overtake? How do you feel in the wet conditions generally?
Generally I feel good, but yeah, I think it will work in my favor, to be honest. I think unless you get damage, which is easy when the visibility is so poor and conditions are tricky, but I hope to maybe get creative in the middle sector, maybe get some overtaking done.
And in the last race, you tried to start the back. It did go well for you, but I think Are you starting the back on purpose, or is it a qualifying ban due to the contacts in the first lap?
Yeah, it's a qualifying ban because I took out East. So apologies to him again. Yeah, hopefully no stupid incidents this time. I hope to do better.
Is the reason you started the back because you got mighty pace? You just want to have a bit of fun.
No, it's because I have the qualifying.
I mean, in US, it wasn't USA, Mexico.
Mexico. Yeah, correct. Yeah, there I actually had an exam, so I was actually busy with that. So I thought maybe if I study 18 more minutes, it will make a difference.
Well, how do you feel for the actual race then, Hazara? What's your goals in this race? Where do you think you can find yourself?
Hopefully top 5, top 3. It's gonna be tricky though because I have no laps, so I'll just use the sprint as a practice. Although it's hard when it's raining because conditions will be completely different in the race. But yeah, I hope to do okay. So yeah.
I hope you do. I hope you do well too, mate. It's nice to see you back. I know you're busy with ETA, as these guys probably won't understand, but I do. It's very hard work being in big teams, and I know how it feels like. But what do you think has been your best race of the season so far, Hazara? Well, I think Japan. Yeah.
I agree.
There's no formation lap, so we're about to get into it. Thank you, Hazara, as the lights are about to go away then, and it is a wet race. Who will get a better start off the line? As you can see, a lot of people are sceptical. Wheel spinning off the line, but Glock takes the lead of the race. There's an Alpine up the inside. That's not Hazara, that's Sammy trying to go up the inside into one. Did he make it work? No, he's actually lost a position in the process. Gabriel up into P4. He started P5. What a great qualifying from him. Forgot to mention that, but here we are then as we head down into turn 4. Can Laser try and get back on Glock? No, he can't as we head down into the Retroposta. The seat of the Largo corner. Hazara has moved himself up into P11 ahead of Cassidy. The Aston Martin there get a bit of a squirm on, but he almost lost the car again the second time. I think he went off the road too for good measure out of turn 4, so might have picked himself up a chat limit warning there on the first lap. But you can see there, Sammy looking for ways through, actually forcing Bear every time break himself, think he was going up the inside, and now he's trying to go around the outside into this left-hander go. Can he carry the speed, the momentum, short shift into reduce the wheel spin? Bit of contact too for both of them as we head down the famous Hamilton and Albon corner. There's an AlphaTauri JDM trying to go down the inside, and as you can see, Sammy on the throttle there almost lost the car and almost wiped out Bear Remy, but thankfully he didn't. Hazara from last all the way to ninth then. Great start from him as he's challenging. In fact, he's got off the track, I think. No, that's Yeast. There's two cars that got off the circuit. One of them was Yeast. I don't know who the other one was, as Oreo Glass tries to make his way through. But what an interesting first lap that was. Here comes MDJ versus Laser as we head down into turn 1 then. And Laser breaks around the outside unless Laser can try and make it side by side, which he won't do. But so many battles going on here. Simon versus, he actually got off the track there almost at the exit of turn 3 in the Senna S's. And Curve of the Soul. And JDM's all over the back of Bear Remy as we head down into turn number 4. Tucked it behind the slipstream, used the overtake but can't outbrake him going into turn number 4. That was a great move from Samin up the inside as JDM fights with the car on traction. Sonic Hawk is ahead of Xenon and he moves himself up into P12 as both Hassans follow the back in P14 and P15. I wonder if it was Yeast who spun coming out of Judsao. Oh, talk about spinning. Bear Remy, oh look at that, sliding the rear end of the car and he's invited JDM down the inside. And Hurricane, who's lost a few positions by the way, not quite sure what happened to him, but unfortunately for his sake he's down into P8. No, he started in P8, I don't know what I'm saying, but Hazara moves down the inside of his fellow Norwegian compatriot and now he's about to go around the outside. It's going to be a risky move from Hazara, but Bear Remy leaves enough space. The three of them, the Norwegian drivers, close together. And Hazara, the top Norwegian, despite starting last place in 15th. What a great drive so far from Hazara. The man in ETA and his teammates about to put a move on Gamer for P4. Let's see how this unfolds. We head down into turn 1. Glock has got some monumental pace in the sprint, but can he convert it into the feature? As Samit has overtaken the Alfa Romeo Gamer, but can he make his way back around the outside? No, he can't. Wow, what's the first 3 laps that was. No DRS of course in the wet conditions then, as they all have to make their way past each other without the helping hand of the rear wing as Remy tried to put pressure on Hazara in front of him. But looks like Hurricane and Bear Remy are starting to struggle just a bit there in McLaren and the Mercedes. But I think Glock then, can he try and get his first win of the season in the sprint or in the actual feature race? That's what he's looking for. JDM versus Gamer. Here we are then, as Gamer he's tried to defend from JDM, he's trying to go around the outside, but couldn't quite make it stick. But here he is with a great drive and exit down the inside, and he moves himself up into P5 then. So Gamer's lost 2 places, but what a great qualifying from him. Well, I'm trying to keep an eye on all the... Oh, contact there! Hazara's made contact on the back of Gamer, and he forced him into a spin. And now he's side by side once again with Bear Remy. So I wonder, here comes Bear Remy. Has he got any front wing damage on the front of the LP car? I don't think he has. He's not down into pit lane either. And here comes Hurricane and the 3 Norwegians side by side. Hurricane trying to go around the outside into turn 1. Then they make it 3 abreast. But Hurricane has to back out. And let's see how it all unfolds into turn 2. As Zara had the inside line into 1. And here comes Martin up the inside. He covers him off. For the time being, this is great battling in this midfield, but unfortunately for Gamer, bad to worse, starts in P5, down to P14, and down the inside goes Hurricane, but can't quite make it on the brakes. That's to stay behind the Mercedes driver for the time being. I'm a bit rusty by the way guys, apologies because I've not commentated by myself for a long time then, so just adapted to the situation I'm in so far, as unfortunately Shadowlancer is not here to commentate with me. But how much time has he lost towards JDM and the rest? Not too much, only about 1.7. Hazara's gained 9 and Gamer's lost 9, so they both swap positions then. Gamer into a spin at turn number, well, John Sal actually can't remember the turning number. I'm trying to find that on the track maps, but I keep having to look ahead of me because there's so much battling going on the field there. And we've got a multi-car battle for P11 there. We've got a 4-way fight, and Zedham there backing out, but we got, oh, Yeast goes off the track there, and he lets all 3 of them go. So I wonder if he's not confident enough to make it side by side. Maybe he's struggling in the wet and doesn't want to make contact with anybody. But the top 6, 1 second, 1 second separates each of them. No one in the 1 second range of DRS as it was, or slipstream train. He's looking for a way to get past, but further ahead in the distance, Gamer outbreaks himself. He doesn't outbreak himself, he gets on the grass and just loses the back of the car, so he's lost 2 places as he's broken the grass there. I know how easy it is to break there on the grass, you just lose the car and there's nothing you can do about it. But Gamer's coming back on the Haas of Yeast as we head down into turn 4. Oh, bit of contact there between the Red Bull and the Ferrari. Looks like they teleported into each other. As Game, oh, there's a crash! Oh, that, you know, that was so lucky that Xenon was ghosted, because if he wasn't ghosted, Gamer would have wiped him out, or wiped himself out, lost his tyre. So really glad that Xenon was ghosted there. But he spun out of turn 4, and he has not lost his wing, surprisingly. Yes, he has lost his end plate, but I expected him to lose all of his wing due to the heavy impact or contact with the barriers. So here we are with the top 2 then. MDJ currently finds himself under a second away from Glock as he found some pace in that Mercedes. Made a great start indeed, started P3 up into P2. Laser lost 2 places to start the race. And now Glock, with 6 laps left to go, can he defend from MDJ behind? It's quite a hard task with the Mercedes behind, but Hazara under pressure from Beremi from the Mercedes. I'm not quite sure if Hazara is sustaining any damage on that Alpine. Maybe minor from wind damage, you can't see it evidently. But for the time being, Beremi cannot get past the Alpine. There's action-packed sprint race like it was back in the 2023 sprint, even though I can't remember what happened exactly. And it's only this year as well. I remember what happened years and years ago, but I can't actually remember what happened this season in some races. That's how mental it is with the domination. I have watched the races, by the way. I haven't skipped any of the races because of the domination. It's just that my memory is very poor this season for some reason. And Sonic Hawk has spun out of the Ferradura. That's where Fernando Alonso, Jarno Trulli had their crash back then, with Adrian or Sutil involved in that crash too, back in 2009. When I think Adrian Sutil was on the curb, lost it into Trulli. Then Jarno Trulli just spun on the grass and hit Fernando Alonso on the way. But things are starting to settle down now as we had a multi-car battle everywhere you looked at. 15 cars still remain in this race. And Gamer was in P14, but he's moved himself up into P11. That's the thing about sprint races, you've got to be really careful because the guys behind don't have a lot to lose because they started at the back, so they can push so hard as they want. But the guys at the front, they've got to be very careful because you're taking a massive risk if you want to go side by side or push it too hard and end up spinning, because this counts as your qualifying positions for the sprint race, for the feature race, sorry. As Hazara brings the gap down towards JDM, 1.2 seconds behind, but Beremi is starting to hunt him down. As we can see, Hazara almost lost it coming at the top of the hill at Ferradura. That's where Hulkenberg spun back in 2012 and dare say cost him the win of that race for Force India. Just imagine that day if Hulkenberg won that race too. History would have been written. Zena, I think he's lost it out of Jun Sao. He's almost a lap down, bless him, with his teammate hunts him down shortly. Qualified a great P10, but yeah, his race has gone downhill since then. I suspect that the four Norwegian drivers are apart from each other, just working with each other, as Harry Kane. Who's that putting pressure on who? That's Beremi putting pressure. There's a Haas who spun. Is that Yeast? Coming out of turn 8. I'm watching Beremi versus Hazara. Beremi's back ahead of him. Can Hazara try and go around the outside? Verstappen did on Rosberg back in 2016 and try and make a move here. They go side by side on the Retroposter back in 2019. Leclerc, Vettel made contact, but Hazara late to the brakes. Here we go. And Beremi has the race in line. Hazara went off the track there, unfortunately for him. And Harry Kane might take advantage of his mistake. Oh, a bit of contact between Harry Kane as he tried to stick him around the outside. Not a place you want to do it. He knocked Jarno up here versus Danny Berezne, who back then, I don't know who it was he overtook, I can't remember now. But Jarno up here went around the outside of that corner and made it stick. Bearing in mind, it was the dry conditions, but any move around the outside of that corner is sensational. I believe it's stopped rain on the circuit, so I don't think it's going to be enough for the dry tyres to really make an appearance in this race. I think we might as well go towards the end of the inters. Unless anybody's brave enough to try and go on the dries, but I don't think that's the case. We've got two people on the dries actually. That's Sonic Hawk and Zeno, so we use them as a reference. Bearing in mind though, Zeno's almost a lap down, but he could give some great information towards Glock. I know Glock doesn't have a mic, so he won't be in a party with him. But as we head down into turn 1 once again, Remy was over a second away from JDM, who's a second away from Samit then. So there's a bit of a scrap going on between P4 downwards. Hazara started to struggle a bit, but what a great drive from P15 to P7. I'm sure Hazara won't mind that as he gets closer towards the top and has a chance in the feature race to make amends after having that qualifying ban due to starting to the back in Mexico and also taking someone out of the first lap. He's in the party with me, so he can hear what I'm saying. But oh, he can actually hear me. Yeah, he's just laughed.
Yeah.
I forgot you were here, mate. I thought you were party with your Norwegian boys.
Yeah, I didn't have time to leave, but I'm enjoying listening to you while I'm driving. So
it's a bit distracting though, listening to me while I'm driving. I mean, listen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just casual, I guess. Fine. I'm not driving great, but I'm not making any major mistakes. Anyways, not trying to cut you off.
That's fine, mate. I don't care. It's nice to have someone in the pie with me. But I think JDM's ahead of Samit then. So let's see what's happened. He's overtaken him before the straight. Well, I say that before the straight into the final few corners of the race circuit, not into turn one. But Samit must have made a mistake somewhere. And here he is, back on the tail of JDM as they go wheel to wheel into turn one. Lays the brakes to the Alpine driver and maintains P4 for the time being. Is he struggling a bit on those inters? I'm not quite sure. But JDM, they're looking to have great pace in these wet conditions. His teammate Rogue Smith, he's not here. Hazara has overtaken Remy. And yeah, looks like Remy's made a mistake somewhere out of turn number 2. But JDM tried to fight back with Sammy, can't quite make it into turn 4 and stays behind him for the time being then. But the top 2 battle, the Mercedes versus the Red Bull, where we said that before, back in 2021. MDJ versus Glock, and let's see what happens between these two. Glock has led majority of this race, but he's currently being hunted down by MDJ. And these two, when they got close to the circuit, they've always had great battles, well, bar in Spain, but we know these two are great drivers, respectful as well. Even when Glock made that mistake on MDJ, he let him go into Spain, despite losing a lot of positions. Oh, Sammy's made a mistake! And talk about positions, he's about to lose 1, now 2, towards his own teammate, Hazara, who goes up into P5. As we head into Junsao then. Sammy looks like he's really struggling on the rear end of that car. Yeah, look at that, massive tank slapper on the back of that Alpine as he tries to apply the throttle. I know he likes to run a low downforce setup because I used this setup back at my own race in Brazil a few days ago, and it was horrible, I must say. I'm not used to low downforce setups on a controller, but he is on a controller himself. He's almost lost the rear brakes going into turn 1. But he's going to be really careful at the last 2 laps of this race. Can't afford a spin, especially starting in 6th place, ready for the future race. How much risk is MDJ willing to take against Glock? How much does he want this sprint race? I know he's fighting Harry Kane in the championship, but he's quite far ahead of him as Sonic Hawk can go for a spin on those soft compound tyres, so I don't think the softs are quite ready yet. As we can see, Laser in P3 then, unchallenged. He's currently 3 seconds behind MDJ and 3 seconds ahead of JDM. So he's got no pressure on his shoulders whatsoever, whereas JDM has, as you can see, another yellow flag somewhere on the circuit. Who is that? A slight momentary yellow flag. Was that Xenom in P15 who's slowing down to let those guys go? He's actually ahead of this train. So JDM there, if this was the last lap of the race, might have DRS at the back of that car, but no DRS for the time being then. Might help JDM in the process. Oh, he spun! Xenom spun, and off the grass he goes. But here comes the Zara. Look at the ERS that the RP driver has, and he might out-slipstream, out-drag him towards turn 1, and he does, and moves himself up into P4. And JDM, can he do anything about it? Oh, Hazara locking the rear brakes. JDM's made contact with him into one as they both outbroke themselves, but thankfully neither of them in a spin, and they both remain where they are. But JDM right behind him. This is the last lap of the race. MDJ behind Glock, not close enough to make a lunge into turn 4. And that is it for JDM, unless he can out-drag him towards the line out of Junsao if he's close enough. But JDM looking for a decent result here in the sprint. No way up the inside into Ferrador. That's a bit risky there. Hazara getting enough space, but he's fighting one Alpine and defending from the other. So both Alpines put him under massive pressure in a French baguette sandwich in the Alpine. Sammy trying to go around the outside, but can't quite do it. So out of Junsao, what's going to happen between Glock and MDJ? How much ERS has he got? Quite a lot, so he needs to burn all the ERS coming out of Junsao once he applies traction. And here we are then. Can MDJ try and get Glock, or will Glock have this covered? He should do. He's quite far ahead as Yeast is retired from this race. Here is Glock to win the sprint race here in Brazil. MDJ finishes 2nd place ahead of Laser Lord. But what's going to happen between P5 downwards? Hazara's actually dropped JDM. Finishes at P4 ahead of JDM. Samid might get out-dragged. No, he doesn't. That was so close between himself and Remy there. Harry Kane in P8 ahead of Martin in 9th place. Casti in P10. Gamer 11th. Chevy Oroglass in P12. Sonic Hawk in P13. And Xenom in 14th place. That's the race done for you folks. I hope you enjoyed that sprint race. And we move on to the feature race. So Hazara, P15 to P4 in 12 laps. What are you expecting for the race?
Yeah, I expect a good fight. I mean, it was enjoyable to drive in the wet here. And, yeah, hopefully a good race. But yeah, no expectations really, but just trying to stick with those guys in front because they're all very quick. A
DRS has been enabled then, but You did a fantastic job. Were you struggling a bit of time? Did you, when you made contact with Gamer into one, did you sustain any damage? Just minor damage?
I think it was last corner. I think we made some contact, but he was already sliding, like half spinning, and I just went into the back of him because he was going very slowly because his car was like almost completely sideways. But I didn't get any damage, luckily, so I was very lucky, actually.
So Hazara starts in P4. Can he challenge the top three? The top three be looking behind their shoulders as driver of the day goes to Hazara from P50 to P4. Had a bit of work to do on his hands with Remy coming back at him, and also fighting with the likes of JDM and Harry Kane and Samid too for good measure.
Yeah, if you want to, I can stay.
No, it's up to you, mate. You don't have to stay. It was just nice to have you, but you do whatever you want, mate. I don't care what you do.
Okay, you know what? I'll stay this race, and then if you have any questions, I'll be a reporter. I'll be a reporter from the
Ted
track.
Kravitz.
Exactly.
Norwegian Ted Kravitz. Let's go.
Let's do it. I don't want to leave you alone, you know.
It's fine, mate. I've been on my own plenty of times.
Yeah.
I mean, during league races, not in real life. I'm gonna get a glass of water.
Yeah, if you need a break, I'll keep the people entertained, hopefully.
Damn, this is something new I've not really experienced before.
Either. So it's okay.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, mate, don't worry about me. Your race is way more important than looking after me.
No, it's fine. I don't take it too seriously. I mean, I have so many races these days. If one goes badly, I can live with it. So if you need any information or if you wanna hear how it's going, just ask me. Fire away. I'll be happy to answer.
Nah, this is gonna be just trying something new every day, I guess. Mid-race interviews with Harry Kane twice. Any other league, I haven't done this whatsoever. But here I am with the driver during the race, commentating over him. So I best say some good things about him then.
Yeah. Right now I'm just contemplating what to do with my wing because I have 3 cars ahead who I want to pass, but I can't go too low on the wing. And obviously Parc Fermé is on, so I can't load a new setup. So I'm stuck with what I have, which is a dry setup, and yeah, hopefully it'll do the trick. Okay, we're starting in 15 seconds.
Can Glock get his first feature win of the season? His first actual win of the season, because he hasn't got one yet, surprisingly. Came close in USA, but unfortunately couldn't get it. And he finished in P3 on a brand new set of softs during the safety car. But here we are, 5 lights for the Mexican Grand Prix. And it's the usual hard-to-beat strategy. I think Glock might have got bogged down a bit on the lights, but no, he gets away decently well. It looked like the car teleported back and forth. But Harry Kane then, that's Laser going around the outside as MDJ into P2 with Laser in P3 as Hazara has to back out of it. That's a bit close to contact there. It's Cassidy versus Martin. Both Aston Martins going at it. But here we are, down the Retroposture straight. MDJ pulls the right hand side. Mercedes versus Red Bull. Remember what happened here back in 2021? Verstappen pushed Hamilton off the track, but this time these two keep it cleanly. Hazara is into P3. His team, I think. That's yeah, someone else got a track in the background. I think that was Harry Kane. As we head down into Ferradora, these two are side by side still, and somebody spun. That's an Alpine of Sammy who spun. What a dismal first opening up for him, as he wanted to capitalise on a great sprint, but unfortunately dropped it in the race. His Gamer, who had a bad sprint race, is up into P7, and doing well so far is the Alfa Romeo driver. Has picked up some decent pace so far as JDM. Almost sends an audacious move up the inside as we got Casti versus JDM. You can see the understeer. I can actually feel the understeer these guys are having in the first opening lap of this race then. But cloudy conditions so far here at Brazil. And Mercedes versus Red Bull here in Brazil. And here comes MDJ then once again. Looks like the Mercedes got some decent straight line speed. And he sets the fastest lap. And he takes the lead of the race on lap 2. But Glock knows, these guys know it's a long-term game here. You don't want to be constantly fighting. You just want to settle down this DRS train, swap positions now and then, and follow each other in this DRS train without losing any time. Then once we go on the medium stint, that's when it gets all interested. But so we see a few battles in the midfield there with both Aston Martins once again. Cassidy putting pressure on JDM. You can see the massive wheel spin that Glock suffered at the exit of turn 4. Just got to the curb a bit too much there for the car's liking. But Cassidy has to settle in P9 for the time being behind JDM. As we head onto lap 2 out of 36, DRS will be enabled as JDM is outside the DRS range after defending from Cassidy in P9. But Hazara clawing all the way all over the back of Glock. And let's see how easy it is for Hazara to make his way through. He's having some decent race pace so far in that Alpine. Shows some great pace back at the sprint and also replicating what he did, or what he's doing in the feature. So let's see how Hazara plays this. Will he overtake early doors in this race, or will he just settle into this DRS train in P3? He's closer towards Glock than he is towards MDJ, is Glock. As we head down into turn 1, MDJ still maintains the race lead. JDM versus Cassidy, and Oreo Glass versus Sonic Hawk for P14. But DRS then is enabled on the Retro Poster straight for the first time since the qualifying session, as it was a wet race. But MDJ said in Singapore that he don't like the wet conditions, but surprisingly had good pace. Even though he doesn't like those wet conditions, but you can see Glock all over the back of that Mercedes, but doesn't want to go for it in these low speed corners here. Just settling down into a rhythm before we make our way onto the medium compound tyres much later in this race. Tyre wear should not be an issue, but tyre overheating could be an issue. I experienced that here in Brazil because, like I mentioned in the last race, I'll have a league race a few days before this and it follows the exact same format, the exact same tracks. So that really helps me with this race too, as I can bring some information from over there to over here. Although I would love to be the Qatar race, which I missed, I would love to give some information about that one. But here comes Glock then. We'll try and retake the lead of this race as he sets the fastest lap in the Red Bull, heading down into turn 1. And MDJ then will have DRS next time round. 2 detection points for 2 DRS zones, unlike in I think it is in Mexico, where there's only 1 detection point for 2 DRS zones, and MDJ comes back on Glock then. So these two will be doing it all night long, switching from first to second. That's what I love about this track as well, because you have the DRS, the second detection point, after turn 1. So drivers can come back at you with the upper hand of the DRS. But the top 7 then with Gamer on the back of this train in the DRS train, and Gamer is doing a phenomenal job here at the Brazilian Grand Prix so far. And Cassidy the only one on the medium compound tyres too, so nobody going for the ultimate strategy except him. As he's looking to make up ground early in this race too, he has to. He can't afford to be stuck behind hard runners. But with this DRS train, it's going to be very difficult to make your way through this pack. He's currently 1.1 seconds behind, with Hulkenberg right behind him. And once again, we head onto straight there with MDJ leading this race with Glock in P2. And let's see if these two swap around once again as we head down into turn 1. And Glock is in P1 ahead of MDJ. Hazara slots into P3. Whilst you're on the straight, Hazara, did you take part in the EML Brazil race?
Yes, I did. It was a good race. I finished P4. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think Benza won in front of
Tom.
Yossi and yeah, Tom and Yossi. Yeah, and I was P4. So yeah, happy with it.
I'm not going to mention it just in case anybody's listening in the stream, but there was a bit of DRS play going on towards the latter stages of that Brazilian Grand Prix. It was 3 abreast onto the finish line. It was so close. Tom almost snatched a win for being P3, almost outdragging P1 and P2, but finished P2 in the end. That was a great race as well. And Hazara's currently in P3 behind MDJ and Glock, so he knows what to do around here in Brazil. He's seen it all happen in front of him. And here we are on the DRS then, with Hazara getting close towards MDJ in this big DRS train here, with Cassidy just outside of it with Hulkenberg behind, almost dropping out of DRS range of his own teammate there, with JDM putting pressure on Martin ahead of him. As we head down into turn 1 then, MDJ stays in P2 for the time being. Got to watch out for Hazara too. because he can split these two in the DRS train as JDM gets closer towards Martin, but not close enough to make a move as he has to stick behind for the time being. Here comes MDJ on Glock as we head down into turn number 4, and Hazara has got more ERS combined than the two ahead of him, so the ERS management has been really great from him so far. Harry Kane's also good at managing his ERS. He was a pain to deal with back in the French GP when I raced with him, but he's a very clean driver indeed. Currently on 100% ERS is Harry Kane, but yeah, with Hazara being in a party with me talk about ERS and all that, but the strategies, he knows exactly what's going on, so he can keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like a cheat code.
it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just gonna save until I see an opportunity, and then I'll use all of it. I guess it's fine if you talk about ERS and I reveal all my plans. Maybe someone will hear it.
Yeah, some people might consider it cheating, but oh well, who cares? Hazara's running his own race. And here comes Glock again on MDJ, but in the background I think Game is going for on Harry Kane, so let's have a look at that, shall we? I think Glock had massive wheel spin coming out of turn 1 as I switch on board with Harry Kane, who stays ahead of Gamer for the time being, but the Alpha Male getting closer and closer, almost made contact too. Here comes MDJ on Glock back up into P1, and here comes Hazara down the inside, but Glock's late to the brakes there. Into turn 4 we go, and Glock maintains P2 then ahead of the RP driver. And JDM, what's going on between those two is, I think Martin's coming around the outside. I think JDM has split both Aston Martins, and now Martin's about to take a place away from the AlphaTauri. Or Samid spun, I think. Something's happened to Samid down there at P11, not quite sure. Let's have a look, shall we? Did I get confused again? Yeah, so we started at P6. No, he spun early doors this race, that was right, yeah. Yeah, he spun early doors. Ooh, I think JDM was made contact with one of the Aston Martins. Now Samid's alongside him once again, and trying to defend from him, trying to get around the outside, as Samid is sticking with it, like Hulkenberg and Leclerc back in 2019, and Norris too, for good measure, getting involved in that when they went side by side in that middle sector. But here we are then as we head down into 1. Glock takes the lead of this race, and what will Hazara do? Will he watch the battle unfold between these two? Will he split them up? Will he go second in this DRS train? Yeast picks up a 3-second time penalty too. As I can see, the low grip conditions start to kick in as well, with a lot of drivers wheel spinning on the exits of corners. Very careful with tire temperature too, especially in that middle sector. But MDJ backs out of it this time. Lap 8 out of 36.2. Well, I don't even know why I said 2 for some reason, but lap 8 out of 36 then. With Casti still on the medium compound tyres, having his own fight there with JDM, Samid and Martin. Sonic Hawk is having his own fight with Jerry Oreo Glass 2 in P14. And Martin and Casti have swapped positions. I don't know if that was team orders or Casti made a mistake somewhere on the track. But however, the hard runner is ahead of the medium runner, the most durable tyres out of all of them. And I wonder if Casti started to struggle a bit on his medium compound tyres, whether it's overheated the shoes or not, I'm not quite sure. We're very careful with tyre temperature as well in the races. I know I struggle with a lot with race pace itself in terms of tyre temperature. Tyre wear isn't so bad, but in terms of tyre temperature, just sliding around is a horrible feeling. Not being able to pick up the throttle. And I think Mercedes has gone wide out of turn 1. Was that Beremi in P5? Now Harry Kane will be all over the back of him into turn number 4. But as you can see, the Mercedes applying the ERS, and here comes MDJ in the other Mercedes, overtaking Glock, and he moves himself up into P1 once again then. So these two playing a high-speed game of chess there, just swapping positions, moving around on the board, trying to stay ahead of the rest of the guys in P3 and P4, using each other as DRS, because if they stay behind one another, the likes of Hazara and Laser will try and go past as well. That's what happens. When you're in P3, you have to force P2 to overtake. Otherwise you'll be stuck in that big DRS train. Sometimes you can get out dragged into turn 1 as well with the amount of ERS someone has. Because I overtook 2 drivers into turn 1 because I had dragged them both. But ended up spinning unfortunately because the other driver didn't give me space. I'm only kidding, he's not gonna hear it anyway. But here comes Hazara on Glock. They both have DRS then. Will Hazara try and force a move? He's got a lot of ERS in his disposal, but Glock there I assume he uses ERS to stay ahead of Hazara. How confident is he on the brakes into turn 1? Very confident as he goes side by side. And now into turn 2, wheel to wheel stuff. Getting very close indeed. The Glock stays around the outside. But they both have the DRS once again then. As you can see, Laser Lord trying to get involved in the action too. Glock using more battery to try and stay ahead of Hazara, which he does, and stays in P2. Great defending, by the way, from Glock, like he was at the Brazilian Grand Prix here in the sprint. Glock's an incredible clean driver as well, and his defensive skills are working so far, making him work harder than he wants to, trying to focus on MDJ, but having to focus from behind too, as they're all in this one big DRS train from 1st down to 7th. Feel sorry for the guys at the back of this DRS train, because you can't do anything essentially. Been in this situation before myself plenty of times too. But Hazara has definitely started to apply pressure towards Glock. Can Glock keep calm and composed? We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. Is that Yeast again in P13? No, it's not. Maybe it is. I'm not quite sure who it was that time. I just saw him dropping down the order when the yellow flag came out. I'm not quite sure if Zedem just overtook him. But Harry Kane is putting pressure on Beremi, his Norwegian compatriot. And he goes up into P5 then, just behind his teammate. Both McLarens have won the Constructors back at the USA Grand Prix. Oh, he almost lost it at turn 3 there. At Curve of the Saw, massive wheel spin. And has to let Beremi go too for good measure. And that's the consequence right here. You just got to throttle a bit too early. The back of the car will fight and just retaliate against you. Glock scored a few podiums. He scored 2 podiums in a row back at the USA Grand Prix and the Mexican Grand Prix too. MDJ is going for a second win of the season. Sorry, second win in a row. He did it in Mexico. He missed USA. He spun and retired in Qatar. And we all know the race before that, the Japanese Grand Prix, where Hazara just dominated. A few drivers picked up punches as well as they took the intermediates far too long. Because I thought Harry Kane did the long stretch. He was only about 7 laps to go in the race. He pitted onto a brand new set of inters. And he gained about 18 seconds in about 6 laps. And here comes Glock and Hazara going side by side. And he overtakes him before turn 1 and moves himself up into P2. Then splits both of them. And now fighting for the lead of this race. And Gamer versus Harry Kane into turn 1-2. Looks like Harry Kane starting to struggle a bit. He's got Gamer around the outside, has the inside out for the next corner. And Gamer, what a phenomenal job he's doing as well in this race. Up into P6, sticking with this DRS train. Harry Kane trying to fight back underneath. Into turn 4 we go with Hazara and MDJ. A bit too far back to make a move. He gets the curb, but almost lost it too, but saves the car. Look at this. Look at all these top 4, all bunched up right behind each other. You can feel the turbulent air coming off the cars ahead. Feel the understeer too. The amount of drivers that might be sliding in this DRS trade. Jerio Oroglass and Sonic Hawk still fighting for that P14 spot there. Or P13 as Yeast is down in last place. Unfortunately for him. As Casti and Samid are swapping positions. There's JDM's involved in 2 in that battle. I mentioned this in yesterday's league race I had to commentate. I wish we had multi-screens and split screens and replays too, because I can only keep an eye on one battle. I don't want to keep flicking through because I don't want to miss the whole battle and what's happened in it and afterwards. But it's nice to see Gamer in the top 6 there. Hazara is ahead of MDJ into turn 1 then. So started last in the sprint. Now he's in P1 on lap 13 out of 36 with Glock, putting pressure on MDJ. But MDJ should have him covered with the DRS as well to help him protect himself against Glock. So we head down into turn number 4 then. Lap 13 out of 36. I don't think nobody thinking about going for another cut just yet. A bit too early to go on the medium compound tyres. You want to extend this stint as much as you can. Maybe the softs could be in play too, because I did see somebody go on the soft compound tyres on Sunday's race and it made it work. Soft medium, surprisingly. Had the pace for the whole of it, even if the softs dropped off. He did 18 laps on a set of softs and still made it to the end. Incredible. From soft to medium. Now Hazara's in P1. Has he got the pure pace to just pull away from this DRS trade and leave Mikey to defend against Glock? And Harry Kane in the background there, was that an intentional move down the inside? Was he sliding quite out of that fast left-hander into turn 11? I'm not quite sure if he tries to turn it into an overtake of Jun Sa, maybe a mistake, just lost the back end of the car, but he's certainly struggling in this race. Have a tendency to interview Norwegian drivers midway through a race, like I did with Harry Kane twice in Monza and in Mexico, and now Hazara, who's actually racing, not retired in this race, and has to listen to my voice whilst racing. It might be a difficult task indeed, but MDJ is right behind him, but doesn't make a move going down into turn 4. High pressure between all these drivers. Harry Kane putting pressure on Gamer for P6. And Game was doing an outstanding job, as I want to reiterate as well, in this race. Don't think he's turned up for a few races before, but he's back now here in Brazil and showing some decent pace as Martin is side by side with JDM then. Cassidy's still in P8, but look at that, they're barging, banging wheels, and now Samit, that was an audacious move, unfortunately it didn't pay off, but he's so lucky he didn't full spin the car, only half spun it, because that could have been nasty indeed. That opportunity to overtake wasn't there, the door was firmly closed in his face. Lucky not to spin the car. As we head onto lap 14, out of 36 then. Start Hazara still leads ahead of MDJ. And for everybody on the stream, if you do hear me mute my mic, that's because I am coughing in the background. I still haven't got rid of my cough. As you can see, Hazara, I'm not quite sure if that's lag or not, but he was certainly sliding through the corners of Curve of the Soul and ZRS's. Famous corners indeed. Indeed, we've seen some plenty of racing going on there as well in the past in Turn 1 and Turn 2. Sidebar selection including Kimi Räikkönen and Michael Schumacher. Proper rubbing wheels there between the two of them in Lotus and Mercedes as Michael Schumacher's final races in 2012. And then 1 year later it was Mark Webber's final race for Red Bull in 2013 when he took off his helmet. I think he finished in P2 as well in that race, and took off his helmet on the cool down lap. Let me get a glass of water because I'm starting to struggle a bit with my voice. As Samid there has spun once again, and that is at Ferradura. So be right back momentarily when I get my voice sorted out. We've seen some great battling between Gamer and Hurricane, Laser versus Bearemi, and Bearemi stays ahead of Laser for the time being as Hurricane gets ahead of Gamer. I can see Glock almost sliding coming out of Ferradura, where the car just wants to step out of him, but whilst he's been in this DRS train, he's got a lot of ERS in his disposal, so has MDJ, so just playing the patient long game is both of them before we switch over to medium compound tyres, which should have been about 4 laps time, I think, maybe. But we'll see when these guys pit then. The game would just stick into the back of this DRS train because it was 1 second until Hurricane had that DRS to overtake him and pulled himself closer towards Laser. So both McLarens are close to each other. We've got a Haas spinning, which is G started P15, not liking the track whatsoever, unfortunately. Cassidy's still on those medium compound tyres, by the way. Still in P9, putting pressure on JDM. Martin's just a bit further backwards. What kind of magic has Martin got in this race as well? Because I do say to him, I do say about him every race that he has the potential always to be inside the top 5 no matter what race he's in. Something always happens. You could see him outside the top 10 and all of a sudden he's there in P5. Oh, MDJ off the track there, out of Ferradura, as Sammy picks up a 3-second time penalty too. So looks like MDJ started struggling a bit on the back of the car. Very tricky that corner indeed. High speed section. On the throttle immediately out the corner too, with the back end of the car wants to complain. Is that going to give the opportunity towards Hazara to pull away, as Yeast has retired in the pit lane then, so no safety car to impact this race and neutralise things, so we could continue once again. But Hazara actually gets himself momentarily out of the DRS range, but not enough because MDJ does have DRS, and now this is the part where MDJ has to use the ERS because it starts to drop backwards too, so it needs to stay in that all-important 1 second range of DRS to stick with Hazara, who's showing some mighty pace as well in the Alpine. And Yeast's retired car is coming out the pit lane too, but should pull off into turn 4. And a Ferrari spun as well. I think that is Sonic Hawk who's gone for a spin. There he is at Magulio. I've actually said it right at this time. I forgot what the corner was called, but it came out to my head straight away for some reason, even though I was trying to think about it in the split race. Oh, Hazara there, really sliding as well. Zara has driven a beautiful race so far. We're halfway there in this race too. Maybe some of these guys behind thinking about an undercut being stuck in this DRS train. The undercut's quite powerful around here too, or any circuit as a matter of that fact. But we'll see. One of these guys want to make a pit stop. All in 1 second range of DRS of each other too. As we head down towards the straight then. DJ, will he think about overtaking Zara? Yes, he will. He uses that battery, and here he is then, ahead of him, into turn 1, or before turn 1, into P1 he goes ahead of the Norwegian driver, as Gamer picks himself up a penalty. So Gamer is in the pit lane, and he picks himself up a 5-second time penalty, and that is such a tricky pit lane too. Will any of these guys respond in the top end of the field here to go on the medium compound tyres? Will some of them extend it to get the best lap towards the end on these mediums? Gamer rejoins in about P10 because Xenon behind him has pitted. So might see some people heading off into the pit lane. Actually, Samid picks himself up a 5-second time penalty as he's retired in the pit lane too. That's him out of this race, unfortunately. Ever since he spun, he just had no pace whatsoever, and yeah, not one of his best tracks either. So hopefully we can see him come back stronger in the next few races. So this is the time where the pit stops start to happen. Which one of these guys at the front will respond? Yeah, Sam retired back at the Mexican Grand Prix, and for the second time in a row, he's retired here in Brazil too. So yeah, really struggling here in the South American circuits as Hazara moves up into P1 once again. Will MDJ try and get him back into turn 4 as Laser is in the pit lane then to respond to that undercut from Gamer. Some of these guys responding later as well, maybe going to soft compound tyres later on in this race. I don't think the softs are too bad around here. We did see quite a few long runs in the race too. In qualifying, I must say. That's what I meant to say. So, some of these guys might have actually saved a set of softs. Probably anticipated a safety car, as they always do around here in Brazil. As Gamer has undercutted Laser, and he puts himself up into P8. But I don't think the soft compound tyres are a bad tyre around here. They can overheat very quickly if you push them too hard, too early on that stint. Coming down the hill into Junsar, famous corner where Glock and Hamilton back in 2008 was on the dry tyres, with others were on the intermediates. Or was it the other way around? I actually can't remember now. But nobody heading off into the pit lane. They're all still out there to extend their stint as Harry Kane is in the pit lane as he gets a 5-second time penalty. That's 3 drivers who have got 5-second time penalties for speeding in that pit lane. I myself have been a victim of that pit lane too. You arrive there at high speed. You can be very careful when you enter the pit lane too. And that'll cost Harry Kane too, unfortunately. Gamer has set the fastest lap of the race. He's still on the medium compound tyres, is Casti in P5, so some hard runners pitted before the medium runners. If I had known that the mediums could go that long in the race, I would have pitted earlier in that race too. But doing a good job is Casti in P5. And the Gamer and Laser are left to fight alone for P6 and P7. So, with these two pitted early in the race, I wonder if when these guys will make their pit stops, will it bite them back? We'll have the undercut on them for sure, I think. These guys might be joining in that P1 once these guys make their pit stops ahead of us. But still out there a few laps later. Will it benefit them towards the end of the race? Catch these two up. And now Gamer's right behind Casti, but should be an easy move, as Gamer's on old, dying, medium compound tyres. Hazara, Glock and MDJ are in the pit lane. And it looks like Bear Memory has stayed out there for an extra few laps or so. So, 14 laps, let's see what tyres they opt to go for. It's the mediums, so not touching the soft compound tyres. As Laser makes his way through Casti, he will continue his fight against Gamer. So, I wonder if these two will get out ahead of the cars who just pitted. Look at that shot as well. Look at that. Let's have a look at this. 3 cars in the pit lane, 3 cars on the track. And Gamer takes the lead of this race, the net lead. And I think he's got a 5-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he has as well. Harry Kane has as well. He's in P8, so he rejoins at the back of this train. So interestingly, Harry Kane, despite pitting earlier than the guys ahead of him who just came out, hasn't done the undercut on the guys ahead. and Cassidy's been overtaken, so he's like an obstacle in this train. They need to get rid of him as quickly as they can, jump over him. The chance they have. Here we are, down at 11. There's contact between Glock and MDJ. Glock's a bit optimistic to get past Cassidy too. Oh, we can't afford to make contact with the car and all the tyres. That's the last thing you want. When you're driven a good race and unfortunately somebody on all the tyres makes it even worse for you. Know what it's like when someone on all the tyres makes contact with you. It's not their fault, obviously. They're not going to give the position away because they're still driving their own race. But Laser takes the lead off Gamer. Oh, is that McLaren who's got the track there? What's happened to Harry Kane? Just plainly outbroke himself, and yeah, it's going bad to worse for the Norwegian driver. He retired at the Mexican Grand Prix after getting disqualified by overtaking the safety car as he had a drive-through penalty to serve, or a 5-second time penalty for speed in the pit lane. They got disqualified, I think it was. Yeah, I think it's the second time in a row that Harry Kane sped in the pit lane. Mexico and this race, as Martin has overtaken JDM for P8, so those two are stuck with each other. ERL Logan versus Hulkenberg. So, Gamer on the oldest tyres out of this train, 4-lap order. So let's see if it benefits him later on in this race. He hasn't pulled the gap I thought he would, by staying there 4 laps later, or 4 laps earlier. What am I even saying? Pitting 4 laps earlier than the rest of them as he fights with Laser once again and takes the lead of the race. So he hasn't really utilised these mediums as I thought he would, as the guys behind set the fastest lap of the race as the fight continues between Hazara, MDJ and Glock. I dare say later in the stint too, where Laser and Gamer could find themselves under massive pressure with the older medium compound tyres. They shouldn't be too bad, but obviously 3 or 4 lap younger tyres is a big difference on this game module. So what's happened to Remy too? So did Remy and Harry Kane make contact somewhere? They're quite far behind. They're 3.1 seconds behind this train. Got to pay attention at all times to see what's happened to those two. I don't have any information on Remy, unfortunately. I'm just going to assume that Harry Kane hit the back of Remy somewhere, and I'm going to have to rewatch that lap then. Let's have a look, shall we? He was in this DRS train on lap 23, so it must have gone down on lap 24 on the first corner. Here comes Laser to overtake Gamer. What will Hazara do? Will he follow through? Yes, he will. As we head down into turn 1, Gamer still fighting with the RP driver. Makes contact and he's spun into turn 1. I think those two made contact as well in the final corner in Junsao in the sprint. Now they came together again. Oh, it's a shame there for... Hazara's left!
Yeah, I disconnected, so I'll try to get back. Don't worry.
He's in the party, so he's still in the party, but unfortunately the game has disconnected him. This gives a big chance for those to pull away, and hopefully Hazara can join back the session. I thought it was Gamer who left the session because he spun, but it was actually you. So while she's trying to join back the session, is that your second time making contact with Glock? Not Glock, sorry, Gamer.
I'm not sure if I made contact with Glock before, but
I'm a Gamer in sprint.
Oh, I didn't feel him hitting me in the sprint. Oh yeah, you're right. I hit the back of him when he was spinning. Yeah. You're right. I forget. Okay, I'll just try to take control of my car and rejoin the race. Okay, so I'm way behind now.
Yeah, Gamer's in the pit lane, and he's retired from this race. Oh, Gamer, man. He has the potential to score some decent points, but unfortunately has retired in the pit lane. It's just a pit and quit, unfortunately. So Hazara has rejoined this race, then fallen down into P5 behind Bear Remy, who stayed out the longest and had undercut it by a huge margin too. So Laser, MDJ and Glock are left to fight alone once again. They know that Laser's on the oldest tyres out of the lot with 10 laps to go in this race. No safety cars has happened in this race. at all, or a virtual, not even the sprint either, so it's been a clean slate. But we've had 3 retirements in the pit lane, and Game is now one of them. Should have continued Game. I know how frustrating it is to get taken out. Trust me, I've been there myself, but you got to continue, mate. That's what makes a true racer. You just got to go what you have. Well, you got to keep going what you have. Oh, okay, we speak now. But Hazara is up into P4 ahead of Bear Emmy. And I wonder, does he have the pure pace like he did to try and catch back up with the likes of Glock, Laser and MDJ? MDJ takes the lead, and he's quite low on ERS too. Let's have a look at Glock's, quite low, so they all use a bit of ERS. Coming out of that pit lane, trying to catch up with these guys. And Cassidy's the soft compound tyres, so go from mediums to softs. So let's see how rapid he is towards the end of this Grand Prix. Started, I believe, in P8, and now JDM is ahead of Martin. No, Cassidy started in P10, sorry. It'll be very interesting towards the end of this race between MDJ, Laser and Glock, but we all know that Laser's on older tyres, pitting earlier in this train. But will it pay him any dividends towards in the later stages of the race? We've got Glock on the back of Laser as we head down into turn 1. Glock has got no battery whatsoever, but he sends it up the inside and makes it stick. He's in P2. Now fighting with MDJ for the lead of this race, trying to go for his first win of the season. He is desperate for that win. He knows it's coming. He's had some great promising pace in the last few races. In the background, we can see Hazara catching him towards the back of the battle. We've got JDM versus Martin again. Those two haven't left each other alone in the race at all. With Xenon doing a really good job, you know, in P9. He started down in P14 after a difficult sprint race, but here he is inside the top 10 currently on the back of these two fighting. We've got JDM up the inside of Martin again. Laser's outside the DRS range of these two as well, so he's actually lost the DRS. No, that's the wrong graphic. Sorry, but I say because that's not a 1.1 second gap. That's too close to be a 1.1 second gap. I had the gap to leader, not the gap to interval. So apologies about that one. I should have known really. As Harry Kane is in the pit lane again. So what's happened to him? Is he serving his? Oh, Harry! Come on, man, you're doing a great job at P6. These are crucial points, you know. You can't just give up, man. This is 4 retirements in the pit lane. You've got to keep going, man. I know how frustrating it is not to have the pace sometimes. You can't always be the top. You've got to have difficult races. It's what makes a racer. You've got to keep going. Oh, here he is in the party then. So I've got 2 Norwegians in the party with me. Harry, mate. Do you care to explain what happened?
Yeah, a good race. I just chilled in the first stint, and yeah, was alongside Glock. He pushed me onto the grass, and I lost like 6-7 seconds, and just got downwards after that.
How come you sat in the pit lane there? Because you were running in P6, mate. You had a big gap behind you, like 18 seconds. So you got to have these points, mate. These little points matter. You can't. I don't know how to describe this, but you just got to keep going, no matter what. Unless obviously you're 1 lap behind in the back. Look at Xenon for example, because sometimes he's been a lap down in a race and he still goes no matter what. I remember complimenting him after keep continuing despite his bad his spins in the last few races and the bad. But you're in the top 6, mate. You've got anything can happen in this race. Maybe not now with 6 laps to go, but you've got to hang in there. I know how difficult it is, and to keep going.
Yeah, but I'm 40 points behind before this race. You would get more either way, and I'm like 80 points ahead of next. So I'm not fighting for 6th place. I also got 81 in the pit lane, so that was a bit sour. But yeah, I'm not fighting for P6. I'm fighting for podiums.
Yeah, that mentality though, but it's nice to have a fighting mentality, but at the same time, the smallest points matter. Hazara is up into P3, now ahead of Laser Lord, and even though he left the session, his AI was falling down the order. 1.3 behind, easy contention to win this race. Let's find out, shall we? Laser's still there. Will he fight him? No, he won't. My voice it started to go a bit. Had to beat myself. With 5 laps left to go in this race. Hopefully be a great battle between Glock, MDJ and Hazara. The gap is 1.2 now between Hazara and Glock. But they're all the same tyre age, so how difficult will it be for Hazara to get back in this DRS? Despite closing the gap down continuously in this middle sector, we've got JDM versus Martin again, fighting for P7 and P6 there, with Martin getting better traction ahead of the AlphaTauri driver. But Harry, you racing this Friday on Singapore?
Yeah, I am. Actually.
Me too.
That will be exciting.
It will be indeed. And JDM's ahead of Martin. It's a race in Vegas next week as Blazer and Bear Remy are fighting for P4 with Hazara. It's just outside the DRS range once again. But with 4 laps left to go in this race, Hazara will be pushing out. Pushing absolutely hard to get back in that DRS range, but with Bear Remy on his tail now, will it make it even more difficult as the Norwegian driver putting pressure on his fellow compatriot there, and JDM moves himself up into P6 ahead of Martin, with Xenon doing a great job in P8. Both Red Bulls inside the top 10, but we all know Glock's going for his first win of the season as Hazara picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that is his race winning. Well, his race win over, unless of course others get 3-second time penalties or something major and dramatic happens. But realistically, theoretically, I think MDJ and Glocks, this is their chance to win the Grand Prix now. Can MDJ go for his second win of the season? Sorry, I don't know why I keep saying that. Second win in a row after retiring in Qatar and not appearing in USA. Or will Glock get his first win of the season? He's been fighting so hard at Mexico, Qatar as well, the Dutch GP, Spain, Brazil in this race. I'm just making tracks up now. I'm not actually thinking. But here he is, their Glock right behind MDJ. Will it be a cat and mouse game between DRS towards later in this stage of the Grand Prix as Glock pulls the left hand side and makes an overtake at MDJ and he goes up into P1. But we'll see how they all play the DRS out, because in the last race in Mexico, Ramovaj, I think it was, who overtook MDJ on the penultimate lap, didn't wait for the final lap, and then got swallowed up by him on the last lap, and MDJ took the win. But we'll see what happens as Hulkenberg moves himself up into P6, but still fighting with Xenon and JDM behind, and JDM is actually going for it around the outside, that's Xenon, sorry, but he couldn't quite make it stick as JDM goes back through on the Red Bull driver. So this is a close battle between P6 to P8. Cassidy just behind on those soft compound tyres. I really thought he'd be making inroads on these three ahead of him, especially these two fighting hard. But 4.3 seconds away with 3 laps left to go in this race. Hazara could still make things difficult for the top two. I think Hazara could try and ruin one of these two races, because try and put himself in between Glock or MDJ. But we'll find out what happens. You can see that MDJ has got more ERS comparison towards Glock then, so Glock just needs to manage a bit on ERS. MDJ defends, he backs out of it. Hazara might make a move into turn 4, which he does do, and I wonder, has that cost Glock as well? But Glock's sticking around the outside. He knows he can't afford to fight with Zara. He knows he's got a 3-second time penalty. He can't afford to be stuck third in the DRS trade, because that'll make it even more difficult to win, with Hazara having DRS at the back of MDJ. It's all about tactics for Glock now, thinking about where he can overtake and how to defend from Hazara behind, as JDM and Martin again fighting for P6 into turn 4. And Hazara putting big pressure there on Glock ahead of him as he just lifts and coasts coming into Junsao, as he was way too close behind him. But Glock will be absolutely furious to see that Alpine out behind him. He's focused on MDJ ahead of him, but he's got the Alpine next to him. Unless Hazara can ruin MDJ's race too and try and fight him It's lap 35 out of 36. Looks like Glock's got more straight line speed in comparison towards Hazara. Bearing in mind though, Hazara was derated to the straight, but Hazara though almost lost it at turn 1, compromised into 2, and into Curve de Sol. You can see Bearemy right behind him as they all have DRS on the back of MDJ. Glock is in a prime position to overtake MDJ on the last lap to try and take the win. Like Hamilton overtook Glock on the last lap to take the championship into 2008, but Martin and JDM fighting again as they head down into turn 1. Honestly, throughout the whole race, those two have not left each other alone whatsoever. Before we head on to the final lap, how are you feeling for Las Vegas, Harry Kane?
Yeah, I think it's one of my better tracks, actually. I'm quite good in quali. I actually can set a lap that's not invalidated, so yeah, I think we'll be good.
As we head almost onto the final lap of this race then, pivotal moment, where will Glock attack MDJ? Will it be down into turn 1? No, it won't, because it's too far behind. So he has to try and get a decent exit out of the ZRSs, out to Curve de Sol, and try and get him into turn 4. But we can know that MDJ has got more ERS now in comparison to Glock. Bearemy has overtaken Hazara, who spun out of turn 3. And that's his chances of a podium dissipated in this race. But for the battle for the lead though, Glock is trying to go for his first win of the season. But a back marker could come into play for MDJ, because if MDJ catches that back marker, he'll have DRS on the straight, and that'll make Glock furious. Glock seen him into P6 in the Red Bull ahead of Martin once again. Those three can't stop fighting each other. It's hard to keep an eye on all these battles because you never know what can happen in front, but Martin with the DRS gets him into P6. This is a really crucial moment now. Critical corners these are, but Glock making a mistake there. Quit out on turn 11 in Magulio as we head down into Johnstown. MDJ could be in DRS range, but let's see if Glock can out drag MDJ towards the line like he was a few races ago. I think he's too far back to make any sort of lunge. Glock, he's so close but yet so far to take wins. It's just so... I feel so sorry for him because he has got great pace, but it's not enough, unfortunately. And Bearemy is in P3 for his first appearance in SFR this season, unless he wasn't under a different name. Laser in P4, Hazara in P5. Ever since he got that 3-second time penalty, his race went downhill from there. And JDM will finish in P6 ahead of Casti. Martin actually dropped down into P8. He must have to spin somewhere because he's dropped dramatically behind JDM and Casti. Now Zena's put him under pressure. I think those two might have made contact, you know, on that lap. But Jerry Oroglass in P10, Sonic Hawk in P11 with 4 DNFs, all 4 of them, including Harry Kane, retiring in the pit lane. No safety cars either during this race, but Azara, I bet you must be furious with that 3-second time penalty, knowing a win could have been on for you today.
Well, I wouldn't say furious.
I will be.
The disconnect really hampered me today. I mean, I think, first of all, if that was my mistake with the X Gamer, I want to apologize. I haven't seen it back yet, but I try to give you space, but yeah, sorry. But and then, yeah, I disconnected 5 seconds after that, so yeah, and not only did I disconnect, when I came back, the AI had used like half of my battery, so I didn't have a lot to fight with. And then, yeah, my race was, I had to push like crazy, that's why I picked up 2 warnings and I got a penalty. So without that disconnect, I think I would have been in the running for the win, but yeah, I mean, these things happen.
Yeah, indeed, you had a great sprint race, and in the race too you were up there, but unfortunately 3-second time penalty, you disconnected and the AI used in your ERS too. And MDJ comes out on top. It was Glock who won the feature, the sprint, but in the end MDJ won, all importantly, this feature race with 25 points. And Glock, yeah, it's frustrating for him. So close but yet so far, I say every time. He's getting closer and closer, but yeah, it's just a shame there. Back in USA, when he was fighting with Harry Kane and Laser, then Harry Kane dropped him outside the DRS, and he picked up a 3-second time penalty too on the last lap, finished in P3. Bearemy Great drive from the Norwegian driver in P3. Quite a few Norwegians here, 4 of them, 2 of them in a party with me. Laser in P4, Hazara in P5, JDM in 6, Cassidy from P10 to P7, Xenom. Great job for him as well. Martin P9, Chevy, Oreo Glass in P10, Sonic Hawk 11, and the retirements from Hurricane, Gamer, Summit, and Yeast. Hurricane has left the party there, as he don't want to speak to MDJ probably. No, I'm only kidding. We'll start with MDJ then, as he is here in the party. The other 2 can join if they want to. I don't think Glock has a mic. Sorry MDJ, just coughing up my lungs there as I'm into my mic. But MDJ, congratulations on the win, mate. But I bet you were relieved that Hazara picked up that 3-second time penalty so you could just focus on Glock, because you 3 were left alone to fight in the race. But Hazara brought the other 2 back in DRS rage as well in that race.
Well, as soon as I saw that Hazara got that 3-second time penalty, my focus was to get Hazara either between me and Glock or in front of me, so I can have his DRS and slipstream in on the straights, so that I would have a safe point on the last lap. But apparently I didn't need it, because Hazara and Glock were fighting pretty hard on the last 2 laps, costing Glock way too much battery and time as well, which made it a lot easier for me to defend from Glock on the last lap, and that's how I have done it.
Yeah, that was a great race as well. In the feature, you said you struggle with the wet conditions, but actually you had some great pace in Brazil as well. Were you surprised in the feature race that you had great pace despite it being wet? Because I know you struggled in the wet, you said, in Singapore. Or was it just Singapore in general you struggled with?
I'm struggling in the wet in general, but I've been making some time to improve my driving style in the wet, and this was actually one of the very first few times that I got to experience that it was actually working. So thank you, thank you all my work. So Jamie.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just thinking of what questions I just went mind blank, mate. I just went mind blank. But throughout the whole race, you were in a big DRS trade. At the first stint, you and Glock were just trading positions. But yeah, just a strategy play really, and tactics in the end. Because on the last lap, were you ever nervous about Glock out-dragging you?
I mean, I was preparing myself for it on the last 10 laps, but once I knew that, once I saw the gap on the last lap between me and Glock, I already knew that was kind of over. I had enough ERS, the distance was too great, I had too much of a straight line speed compared to him. He couldn't have done anything to it, so I was pretty safe about it.
Well, congrats on the win, MDJ. You've done a fantastic job overall as well. 2 wins on the row as well for you. And just imagine Qatar and USA. If you turned up in USA and you didn't crash out in Qatar, what could have happened in the championship? But I don't really think the championship's in your mind anymore. You just focus on enjoying the last few races now.
I mean, that's been on my mind the whole season. Not gonna lie, I've never been thinking about the championship like we have been talking about it before. All I'm thinking is the moment I am now. I need to win that race, or I need to be second if a win is not possible. But I'm trying to focus on the race itself and not on the championship.
Fair enough, mate. I think that's the right mindset to have as well, because if you focus too much on the championship, like, what do I do if I finish in this position, and what happens if he does this and that? If you focus on one race at a time, you don't have the extra pressure you put yourself. You just can focus on that race and just try to do the best you can without the excess pressure you put yourself on the championship. Because that's what I did as well back in my championships. Like, what do I have to do what happens if I finish in front of this guy? Because I just get distracted with all these questions and all these thoughts in my head as well, just overthinking things. But focus on one race at a time really does help you race, and doesn't put too much stress on your mind as well. But MDJ, congrats the win for the second time in a row, mate. And how are you feeling for Las Vegas? Because I can tell you, I'm not really feeling happy about it. I mean, in terms of driving it, because I followed the same format calendar, but I started the league first before to. This is first. I can't even speak now.
Well, I have a very good pace in Vegas, but my luck there is not as good as my pace. So I'm either gonna lose a wing because of one mistake, or I'm gonna hit someone on accident, get a penalty, miss a corner, and make the corner kick, get a 10-second time penalty. Something like that will happen most definitely next week. But with pace wise, I think I'm good, and I think I did on track I can win. I think so. We'll see.
Thank you very much, mate. And is the Norwegian driver of Remy here, Hazard? Is he joining the party?
I don't know.
Well, we'll see if he wants an interview. I'll give him a tag in the Discord server. I take it he speaks English, Hazard?
Yeah, he does.
So I've tagged him in the Discord server. He probably doesn't know I do interviews, but apparently I do mid-race interviews now, according to Zara and Harry Kane.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, to be honest. I mean, it's something new, but yeah, it was fun listening to you for like 1.5 hours.
I couldn't do it because I get distracted if someone talks at a party while I'm racing. I get distracted. Never mind commentating, just listen to them shout and scream and etc. So here he is then. They've got 3 Norwegians in this party now with Harry Kane joining back. But Bear Remy, congratulations on P3, mate. I think, is this your first appearance here in SFR? Is it? No worries, mate. Take your time.
There you go.
So we'll get the interviews underway then. So Remy, congratulations on the podium, mate. That was a great strategy call because I believe you were the last to pit in that DRS train, and it paid dividends to you as well. Were you expecting the podium at all because you were fighting like P5, P6, and P7 majority of the race?
No, I knew the guys in front had better pace, but when something happened to Azar and he had to come back into the lobby, he was on one way, my way back to the front, because I didn't have the pace that the 3-4 guys in the front was doing at that moment. But after he managed to to help me back up to the front, I guess I had a good chance to maybe take a podium.
Because you were outside the DRS range until Hazard got back in his car, and he, like you said, he dragged you along to that top 2 pack that were fighting for the lead of the race, so that really helped. And bear with me just a bit, I mean, I'm trying to get my words out without coughing too much. I had a question in mind, and I forgot the question already, so apologies about that one. Oh, yeah, I need to get more prepared by doing interviews. It's just the heat of the moment thing. What was I going to say? This just got in my head. I'm really sorry about this. But, when Hazara picked up that 3-second time penalty, is that when you thought that you had the podium on the cards?
Yeah, I was a little bit worried about Laser. I guess that was his nickname is. I knew he pitted early, so and I also knew that he didn't have the pace on the straights. So I was confident that I could get past him and take the 3rd place. But I was not sure if I could beat those guys in the front. But maybe. if I was lucky, I might could take. I knew Glock had Ignite. No, he had not that straight line speed that I got. So yeah.
Fair enough, mate. You did an incredible job as well throughout the whole race. I remember seeing you in a lot of battles too in that race, especially with Zara too, when he caught you up in the sprint and in the feature too. But congratulations on P3, mate, here in Brazil. And how do you feel about this track overall? Is it difficult? Do you struggle on tyre temperature? Do you slide around here in Brazil?
I like medium speed corners, so I like Brazil. It's a nice track for me. So yeah, I was not thinking about anything else than follow the train and drive as best as I could. But I think my setup was quite good, and I think it was quite good on the tires. So yeah, and I don't know that if that was what the answer to your question.
It was, mate. It was. Don't worry. But yeah, are you here next time out in Las Vegas? Do you like the track? Will you be here next week?
We'll see. I used to race in SFR a few races before the summer break, but Tuesday is not a good day for me. So we'll see. Maybe I come back.
Yeah, you're a great place to show it. So I hope we do see more of you as well, because the Mercedes need help in the Constructors' Championship, because MDJ, I dare say, has been carrying them in the Constructors as there's been reserve drivers for Mercedes in the last few races. But yeah, you really helped Mercedes out today. They need the Constructors' points, and hopefully you'll be back in the next few races too. As I only did join myself this season as well. I used to race here 4 years ago with Hazara, but yeah, I left the league due to personal reasons. They came back as a commentator. Ever since then, enjoyed watching these races. So, DJ Glock, if you're listening, and let me congrats on P1, P2, P3. All drove a brilliant race, and I was very interested to watch. So, thank you very much to you three.
Thank you.
And Hazara, thank you for joining me in the party when you didn't have to, keeping me entertained in the race. I didn't want to talk too much because I knew you were in corners, and I didn't want to say much just in case I distracted you.
Yeah, no problem. The pleasure is on my side. I really enjoyed it, and if it happens again, you can ask me as many questions as you want. Yeah, I don't get easily distracted, so yeah.
I do.
Thank you, and thank you for the race to everyone who's here.
Yeah, thank you as well for helping me, and we'll see you all next round at 7:30 for Las Vegas. That should be a very interesting one indeed, with the Vegas Strip, the high-speed corners, the chicanes as well, the difficult corners. We'll see how it all evolves there, especially that 1.2 kilometers straight or 1.8 kilometers straight. We see a lot of overtaking there, especially in the races I've seen. You can go 3 abreast down there, or 4 abreast almost, with the amount of slipstream you carry down a straight. So we'll see you all next week.